Episode 4 of the live-action series continues the group's journey in Omashu with the group's storylines with Bumi, Haru, Tyro, and Jet continuing in this episode. It also features sections of Book 2's second episode, The Cave of Two Lovers, and Book 1's seventh episode, Winter Solstice, Part 1, The Spirit World. Part of Iroh and Zuko's backstory is added and features nods to Season 2, Episode 7, Zuko Alone, and Episode 15, The Tales of Ba Sing Se. The group's voyage in Omashu is continued in Episode 4 of the live-action series, which also features Bumi, Haru, Tyro, and Jet's ongoing tales. It also includes excerpts from The Cave of Two Lovers, the second episode of Book 2, and Winter Solstice, Part 1, The Spirit World, the seventh episode of Book 1. There are references to Season 2, Episode 7, Zuko Alone, and 15, The Tales of Ba Sing Se, in part of the tale of Iroh and Zuko. The Earth King calls Aang to him. It turns out that King Bumi is around 110 years old and was Aang's boyhood pal. Though Bumi has gone a little crazy, he makes jokes about it. Once more, Katara and Jet discuss Jet's plan to blow up Sai and King Bumi. She abandons him after freezing him to a wooden stand. In order to save Uncle Iroh, Zuko sneaks into the dungeons wearing the garb of an Earth soldier. Sokka and Katara discover the tale of the two lovers who established Omashu in an effort to save Aang. A musician narrates the tale and directs them to proceed via the secret tunnel through the mountain. Aang recalls his friend Bumi from the third episode, 100 years ago. Bumi always had an unconventional mind and made a bison whistle that Aang still uses. Today, Aang is being held captive alongside Iroh by the warriors of Earth Kingdom. Iroh informs Aang there that he and Zuko are more than just their image. Iroh is taken by the Omashu warriors to the Pit, a perilous jail in Earth Kingdom, while Aang is escorted to meet the monarch, who Aang surmises is Bumi. Aang can sense Bumi is upset with him for disappearing for a century even though Bumi is throwing him a feast. Bumi attempts to remind Aang of their history together while also leading him into traps that he must avoid or escape from using airbending. Once again, Jet attempts to apologize and explain himself to Katara, but she doesn't take him seriously and freezes him with ice attached to a pole. When Sokka and Teo discover that Sai is giving the Fire Nation designs and secrets, they get enraged. However, Sai justifies himself by saying that he was attempting to keep Omashu secure from the Fire Nation, which would allow him and his kid to escape. After learning that Aang has been taken prisoner, Katara and Sokka make the decision to save him, and Teo divulges that the palace is accessible via hidden tunnels that run beneath the city. Sokka begs Sai to turn over the Fire Nation spies to the Earth Kingdom forces before departing. Zuko, in the meantime, must decide between pursuing Aang and saving Iroh after posing as a soldier and learning where Aang and Iroh have been taken. As Sokka and Katara enter the secret tunnel, they are met by a chorus of singing nomadic minstrels who alert him to the existence of the tunnels and tell them that Gomer and Shu, two forbidden lovers from rival villages, built the elaborate tunnels to meet in secret after studying the movements of Bajamols. Shu utilized her earth-bending abilities to put a stop to the conflict and found the city of Omashu after Oma was killed in an attack. When the two brothers venture inside, they discover that the tunnels are moving because of Bajamols, which reside there and have the ability to perceive emotions. The Bajamols don't attack Sokka and Katara because of their love for one another, which leads them to the palace. Iroh is insulted by an earthbender guard en route to the Pit, because he is angry at Iroh for having besieged the Earth Kingdom capital of Ba Sing Se for 600 days while serving as a commander for the Fire Nation. After asserting that he has no experience with grief, Iroh had a flashback in which Zuko comforts him during his son Lu Ten's burial after the latter's death in the Battle of Ba Sing Se. Iroh accompanied Zuko on his search for the Avatar after Zuko reminded him of his son. Iroh leaves a white lotus pie show tile on the ground in the present, which Zuko discovers later and used to locate the Earth Kingdom warriors. When he frees Iroh, Iroh sustains injuries during the escape, while the two search for a boat and attempt to return to their ship. Aang is challenged by Bumi to a death-defying battle. As Aang continues to dodge Bumi's blows, Katara and Sokka show up. Bumi forgives Aang after Aang reminds her of their previous relationship. Sai, who followed Sokka's advice and betrayed the Fire Nation spies, gives Bumi the motivation to pick up the battle against Fire Nation anew. After leaving Omashu on Appa, who Zuko notices soaring overhead, Aang, Katara, and Sokka focus on bringing Iroh to safety. Avatar, The Last Airbender's fourth episode keeps up a strong foundation of fervent cinematography. Many components are faithfully replicated from classic times, although certain adjustments may not sit well with die-hard Katang stans. All in all, Avatar proceeds to the sound of the magnificent closing titles. Or the song from the secret tunnel, maybe. Some of the greatest and worst moments occur in the tunnels. Minstrels are included to appease a certain fan base that is infatuated with the secret tunnel song. While it's obviously fan service, it's done with sincere humor. It was a little frustrating that they seemed to speed through the major song in favor of an entrance song. When Aang and Katara first enter the tunnels, they allow the lights to go out so they may have a kiss. It becomes evident as season 1 goes on that Aang has feelings for Katara. The Netflix version is, at best, delaying a semi-major story event. Given that it's a little more difficult to sell youthful love with real children, it would make sense. Newcomers won't notice the loss because it's been replaced with a more grounded examination of Sokka and Katara's bond as siblings. Aang confronts Bumi by himself, but this just in time provides a light-hearted Deus Ex Machina moment. Although Bumi's makeup doesn't precisely suit her age of over 100, it's a good decision that she doesn't come to life during a battle. In this rendition, his conflict with Aang is surprisingly expressed a bit more clearly. In less than a second, their victorious tumble down the delivery chutes flashes over the screen, sort of demonstrating the subpar CGI used in that idea. Even with a few killed darlings and little setbacks, ATLA is still a popular adaptation. I jumped over to Reddit just to find out fans' feedback and some of the remarks we might have missed. First of all, no TV show or movie is perfect, and not everyone can give any particular show or movie a 100% rating. Like illustrious Yam 9010, who tend to defend Katara in the essence that Katara was overhated. This expression generated a lot of heat, and Zoe Zoestar pointed of quote, Kai Wentio did a good job she was given, no hate to her whatsoever, I think she's talented. The problem is the script writing and the creative choices around her character. They removed just about everything that made her interesting in the show and made her into a flat, boring version of the Katara from the show. Like they took out Sokka's sexism from the show, but they also made the show more sexist lol. Like she has no real agency of her own, she relies on other characters like Jet and Aang to push forward her waterbending skills. She's always talked down to by Sokka when in the original show she took the maternal role and she was way more mature. That's not even to mention that she has no subtext. We are always expressly told how she's feeling rather than being shown. Her character is disappointing and really boring. The Netflix show has no mystery, no subtext and no respect for the viewer. They treat us like idiots who need everything spelled out to us. If you hate on the actress or even to go as far as to harass her, you're a massive piece of itch. End of quote. Hophead full for improvements in Season 2 reasonable_oil 6930 cited. I don't condone hating on the actress, but I do hope the writers do her justice in Season 2. She wasn't angry enough or joyful enough for me. Not to mention they did her and Aang dirty when they didn't learn any water bending at the Northern Water Tribe. Some had all the heat directed to them on noting that the show was not interesting. The birds noted quote unquote, the show is very frustrating. However, some sided with his sentiments. Buttershark had this to add, quote unquote, yup, I agree with all your points for the most part. I felt like my and Ty Lee edition was just so the audience could have a Leonardo DiCaprio pointing me moment. Katara's character felt a little flat, not her acting, her actual character, since they really didn't give her a lot to work with. I love what they did with the Zuko, Ozai, Azula dynamic, and I love the Lu Ten funeral scene. I didn't mind the Pakku fight because we actually got to see hints of original Katara, though even that was watered down. And yeah, I felt the romances with Suki and Yue felt a little rushed. It was really jarring to see them kiss after like 20 minutes of screen time. I did like the changes to Yue though, gave her a bit more agency as a character. I was bummed we didn't get more Roku, as he was Aang's primary mentor, and when he did, the first thing he did was crack a really awkward joke. I wanted a whole episode dedicated to Roku and his island, as that was just such a cool two-parter EP. I liked that Aang had moments with the other avatars though. Kyoshi was badass, and I didn't mind the whole Aang not running away thing, as the end result was still the same. He was still clearly overwhelmed with his role as the Avatar and was a scared kid, but, unlike the show, the context was a little different, so they didn't have time to really hone in on the effect separating Gyarcho and Aang would have had, as they're literally in the middle of a big celebration, and then the Fire Nation comes. Yeah, him clearing his head had less weight than him actively choosing to run away, but IDK, like I said, the end result was still the same. He still felt guilty for that too, I know I would. To summarize, Jew Representative 88 had a few thoughts. Quote unquote, I agree overall the show is good and has promise. It is leaps better than the adaptations of the Foundation and Wheel of Time shows. Anyone complaining this show butchers the animated series should read those stories books and then watch the massacre that is the shows. Don't disagree with your issues on Aang. A sacrifice of limited episodes. I liked Katara overall, but I get where you are coming from. Overall, I actually think the show has the potential to give us a better Katara than the animated version, one who romance with Aang actually works. Mai and Tai, this is where I push back. The instinct to bring them in and have Azula scenes this early was brilliant. Keep in mind this show is for people who have not watched an Avatar. If that's the case, they need to set up these key characters early on when seasons 2 and 3 are far more packed with story. They had to set these characters up now. Having said that, they needed to do a better job showing their personalities. Poor execution, but the instinct was perfect. Loved Yue, but your rushed complaint is valid. In fact, my biggest complaint is they failed to show any real-time pass at the Northern Tribe, which is why we see Aang do zero waterbending.